Christy.
Hey, Edith.
What do you call a potato that has gone to the dark side?
Darth Tater?
Vader Tot.
Oh! Vader Tot.
Darth Tater. It's a Vader Tot.
See, Vader Tot is funnier.
It is funnier. It's better.
Okay.
As far as, if we're doing quality of these jokes, it is better, but still terrible. Hi, I'm Edith.
And I'm Christy. We're backyard gardeners from Colorado.
And neighbors.
And friends.
And we love sharing our gardens with you.
We're not experts. We just learned a lot about gardening from the mistakes we made along the way.
So welcome to Upside Down Tulips, a winter episode.
A fun podcast that celebrates gardening gone wrong.
Where frostbite might nip at your plants, but we'll still keep things warm and funny.
Upside Down Tulips.
Hello, gardeners.
And wannabe gardeners.
And people who love football because we can't garden.
That's a lot of us, huh? Hey, you guys out there, we've missed you.
I've missed everybody. And you know what, Edith? I've missed you.
Christy, maybe you should invite me over once in a while.
I had you over at Christmas. Is that
I know,
not
I'm
enough?
teasing.
Okay.
I tease. You know I tease.
But I do miss talking about our gardens together. So
I do too. And I think we have a good topic. It's like a philosophical topic.
Yes.
Right?
We're going to talk today, folks, about why garden.
Yes.
Which seems kind of silly because here we do, we love gardening. We know why we love gardening.
But we're going to get specific.
Yeah. It's a nice reminder.
Yeah.
About the importance of gardening when it's cold out and there's snow on the ground.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, Christy, I get the Yankee Magazine newsletter. That's part of the Farmer's Almanac thing.
Yes.
And they always have, today is the best day too. And they usually say stuff like make jams or jellies or plant above ground crops.
Okay, yeah.
January 1st, you know what it said? Today is the best day to castrate animals.
Oh my God.
January. Now,
oh my God.
I have a couple of issues with that.
Yeah.
First of all, aren't most people hungover on January 1st?
Yes, you're right.
So, like, the last thing you want to do is go to some bull's nether regions when you don't have all your capacity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Plus, it's not a good way for the animal to start the year, I'm thinking.
No, terrible way to start the year. Interesting.
I thought that was humorous.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, not the best day to do that at all.
No.
Holy cow.
So, best days in January to do what? What have you done in your garden?
Well, there's still dreaming, a lot of dreaming.
You're dreaming.
For the garden, I'll tell you that much. But, every time the weather has been over 50 degrees and we haven't had snow on the ground, I've been watering. I'm nervous about how dry my garden is getting.
Okay.
And so I've been lugging out the hose, and then, of course, it's hard to put it back in at night, but I have been watering.
Mm-hmm.
And I have also been careful to make sure that there's bird seed in my bird feeder.
Good.
Folks, this is the most important time of year to make sure if you feed birds to do it. They don't really need it that much in the summer.
Good point, Christy. No, they don't.
Because they have seeds and things to do. And then my handsome and handy husband has been making fun of me because I've been going out with hot water and pouring it over the frozen bird bath.
Oh, that's a very nice thing to do.
That's what I thought.
It is.
I know.
That's what people who have chickens do. They have to defrost the water so that the chickens can,
I know.
And,
I think this time of year, you can always turn inside to your, I go to my inside garden this time of year.
Yeah.
Which is my house plant.
Sure.
And I had a friend of mine who gave me some jade sprouts. And so they have gotten so top heavy that I replanted my jade plants. So they're all looking super happy. And I have something to eat it. So a lot of people ask me, how are my attic tomatoes doing? Because if
that was my question. I wrote that down right here. How are they doing?
Well, and as friends may know that if you get a lot of green tomatoes at the end of the season, I've been putting my green tomatoes up in the attic so that they will ripen. And every year, gosh darn it, I always forget some up there. In the last episode, I had some attic tomatoes that have been up there for quite a long time, for over a year. A little embarrassing. Did you have a lot of green tomatoes this year?
Yeah.
I had so many. I had a huge like, I don't know what my gesture is here, but like a giant beach ball.
Yes, it looks like
Full-
a giant beach ball. That's
full of
exactly
green
right.
tomatoes.
Mhm.
Edith, I have figured out how to remember about my tomatoes.
How's that?
Do not put them in the attic.
That's a good idea, Christy.
So this year I had them all in this big huge container, and I had it right by the back door. So every single time we came in, you could see the tomatoes. And so really the warning sign for me was my handsome and handy husband, who would say, Christy, don't forget about these tomatoes. What are you going to do about these tomatoes?
Yeah.
I'll get to them, dear. Okay, all these tomatoes are turning red. You better get to them. So I, for the first time in a very long time, processed every single one of my tomatoes. None of them went bad.
Do you know what I did on January 2nd? I ate my last red tomato. And, wow. Yeah. And it was as if it hadn't been sitting there for months. It was a Cherokee purple.
Ooh.
It was the best attic tomato I've ever had. It tasted fresh.
That's amazing.
So next year I'm going to plant 2 Cherokee purple plants because I always run out of and wish I had more in the winter. I always wish I had put up more tomatoes.
I roasted all of mine because I didn't have time to can. And then I roasted them with olive oil, salt, and pepper at 400 degrees for maybe about a half an hour to 45 minutes. And then I put them in freezer bags.
That's good. Yeah.
So now they're
smart.
my garage freezer tomatoes instead of my attic tomatoes.
Well, I have, I did not clean out my garden at the end of the season, but since we've had so many 50 degrees days in December, I would go out about an hour a day and I would take one thing out at a time. So today it'll be pulling out the cabbage.
Just
and
one
cutting
thing.
it up. Just one thing.
That's a smart idea. Like, you don't have to do everything all at once. It can become overwhelming.
And then get you outside. Well, here in Colorado, it's sunny almost all the time. And it's a really good, I don't know, I really like doing it that way. I'm going to keep it that way.
Well, I came by your house on Christmas Eve. And friends, guess where Edith was when we came by your house on Christmas? You don't remember? You were out in the garden.
Outside.
You were outside. You were you were smiling. You were so happy.
Yeah, it does make me happy. I have something I have to do in the garden that isn't ripping out. I have to prune my raspberries. I've done some research and I have my raspberry patch looks great, by the way.
Nice.
So they're ever-bearing raspberries.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which means that I'm going to cut them almost completely to the ground, all of them.
See, my raspberries grow on a cane that was like last year's cane.
Well, they do. So
Yes.
they're not ever-bearings, are they?
No, they're not.
Because that's
They're one
the
shot and
difference. One shot and done. Yeah, and then you cut them down after that one shot, right?
No, they grow off the second cane. Oh, I have to wait until the spring. And the spring happens, I know which ones are going to be green and which ones are done. And then I pull those out.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Okay. You know what else I read that you can do with raspberries, especially with the kind that you have? You know how they fruit from the top on down? So once they're done fruiting, they're not going to fruit again. Just cut them below where they've stopped fruiting, and you will encourage the growth of raspberries beneath that, lower on the cane. You can do that.
That's great. You know, my raspberries usually don't make it into the house.
They're so good. Oh my gosh, they're so good.
They're just my little treat when I'm out there.
Okay, well, Christy, that's all the news I have from my garden.
Well, I have a confession to make.
Okay, bless your heart.
Well, remember the last episode we were talking about the things you should, your favorite fall cleanup tips.
Yeah.
Right? And I was talking about how...
Were you lying? Did you do nothing? Were you just lying that whole episode?
Well, I did say it's really a good idea to, go through your work area and clean up your tools. And you kind of laughed and said, I never do that.
Yeah.
Well, I went out to my little garden bench and I realized, I had not done that at all yet this year. So everything is just a complete and utter mess. I could still have time to do it.
Of course you could. Yeah.
But sometimes, it just doesn't happen and that's okay.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you brought that load of guilt into this episode with you.
It was weighing on me. I could not move forward unless I made that confession to you.
Brought up Catholic, were you?
Yeah, I was. Yes.
Oh, there you go.
I too am human. Hey, is your rosemary still alive?
It is.
Okay.
I don't know how, but it is. I'm just
Okay.
sitting out there.
Mine is still alive too, but I cut it back, but I haven't mulched it. Did you mulch yours up?
I mulched it.
Okay.
And for the first time, also, I made my own herbs this year. I dried
Isn't that satisfying?
thyme. Yes, it's so satisfying.
I haven't, don't think I've bought thyme in years, but if I have to buy like basil, that just breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's expensive too.
Oh, that's for sure. Okay, another question I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Have you done any winter sowing yet?
No, I have not. I
Are you planning on doing some or?
don't know.
Okay.
I
And friends, if you don't know what winter sowing is, it's an outdoor seed starting method that you can start after the winter solstice.
And have you?
I have not, but I do kind of have an interesting story. So one of the main tools you need for this outdoor seed method system is like a plastic milk jug, or a water jug, or things like that. That's a common.
A
use
gallon
one.
jug is the best.
It is the best.
Holds enough. Yeah.
And all of mine this past year, I maybe had something like maybe 5 years, and eventually the plastic just starts wearing out, and they were just crumbling in my hands, and I put them in the recycle bin, and prayed that something nice would happen with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had none, absolutely zero. I threw all of them away. Well, last year at the theater company I work at, one of the design motifs was empty water bottles and also water jugs. So as they were taking the set down, I went to them. I said, "Hey, can I please have these water jugs?" They stared at me so strangely, but I took them all and I brought them all home and I cut them all open and I put holes in the bottom for drainage. And so I'm all ready to go.
Good for you.
I like to do it outside though. So I need another 50-degree day to go out there and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little cold now.
But I've got like 20 jugs. So if you need any jugs, Edith,
Thank you.
let me know.
You usually do so much winter sewing.
Well, I was late last year, so I'm going to try to get on top of it, because now is the perfect time to do it. Especially now is a great time to do it if you have seeds that need stratification.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the seeds that the little seed casing, when it's in the earth, it'll get scraped off from the freezing and the thawing of the earth, right?
Just like our driveways. Yes.
Nice. And so I'm going to do a bunch of those type of seeds. And I think those seeds, to me, they're usually like a perennial flower.
Yeah.
Like foxglove, poppies, columbine.
Yeah.
Those are great seeds to start to winter sow.
Yes.
Oh, spring's going to be here before you know it.
I'm really looking forward to it this year.
Well, friends, if we are saying terms that you have no idea what we're talking about, like what is winter sowing, right? What is stratification? You could just go to our website.
What is the meaning of life?
I better update the website with that, Edith. You can just go to our website at upsidedowntulips.com, and we have a fun little tab there that's called the Upside Down Dictionary that describes garden tours. And we have a huge backlog of episodes.
Yes, we've done a lot. How many?
This is our 122nd episode, Edith.
Wow. Okay, well, guys, get to it. Now you know what you're going to do for the rest of the winter.
That's right.
As soon as football's over.
That's right. And we have some stuff on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. But first,
here comes a pod play written by our favorite gardener, Christy. Thank you for calling the Sow and Tell hotline. My name is Fern. How can I help you grow today?
Yeah, hi. I ordered some tomato seeds from your seed catalog, and I think I might have messed up.
Oh, no. What seems to be the issue?
Well, I planted them, but I think I planted them upside down.
Upside down? Tomatoes don't come with a this side up sticker, so I'm curious, what makes you think that?
Because I think the stems are growing into the ground, and I think the roots are trying to escape.
Sounds like they're just adjusting to their new home. Unless they start leaving tiny escape plans etched in the soil, I think you're fine.
Okay, thanks. I'll keep an eye on them.
Thank you for calling the Sow and Tell hotline. This is Fern. What's sprouting in your mind?
Do you sell government seeds?
Government seeds?
You know, the special ones. The ones that grow surveillance plants. I read online that zucchinis might be spies.
Wait. Is this the same person who just called about the upside-down tomatoes?
No. Definitely not. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, sir. I assure you, our zucchini seeds are purely for baking bread and ruining childhood dinners. No hidden cameras included.
Are you sure? My neighbor planted cucumbers, and now he has suspiciously great Wi-Fi.
That's probably a coincidence, but if your zucchini start taking notes during your conversations, call us back.
Thanks again. I mean, for the first time.
I should have taken that job at the Pet Rock hotline. Thank you for calling the Sow and Tell hotline. What's growing on?
Hi, Fern. Hi, stranger operator that I've never talked to before in my life. I'm ready to order some seeds, but I'm worried I'm doing it wrong.
Take a deep breath. It's just seeds. It's not like you're diffusing a bomb.
Okay. I want 3 packs of basil, but what if I pick the wrong kind? And what if I don't even like basil?
If you like pizza or pasta, you like basil. And if you don't, you'll have a very fancy garnish to impress your friends.
Oh, okay. But do I need to buy dirt?
Not unless you're planting on the moon.
Thanks, Fern. Thanks, stranger operator lady. You're the best. I'll call back if I panic again.
That's what we're here for. Somewhere out there, this lady is thinking up a question about planting roses in Jell-O, and I know she's going to call me back. And I'll be here. Thank you for calling Sow and Tell, the hotline where your questions keep us planted in reality. This is Fern. What's growing on?
Before we get into our topic, Edith, I did want to ask you, are you getting a lot of seed catalogs?
No. Are you?
No, I haven't got a single one.
Oh, my goodness. You know, people are cutting back everywhere. They really are.
Okay.
Wow. I know. It's that time. We should be sitting with them right now.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
Well, until we get our seed catalogs, let's dream about why gardening, even though it's technically easier to walk into a store and grab vegetables or flowers.
But if you grow your own, you know what a shabby experience that can be. Let's start with the nutrients.
Oh, yes.
You know, so much of the soil in this country is worn out from pesticides. And even if you get organic stuff, it's just worn out soil. And that is not the case in the garden. When you have a compost pile or you use leaves as mulch, you are constantly nourishing and enriching your soil. And that's what you have to have nutrition in your vegetables, right?
There was a study done at the University of Texas that shown that conventionally grown store-bought produce has lost significant amounts of its nutritional quality over the last 70 years.
Yep, I've heard that too. As agriculture became agribusiness, everything changed. Small farmers went away, and now we just have, listen to me sounding like a communist, profit. It's all about profit.
You know, I also think that since I started growing a vegetable garden, that I actually eat more veggies. Like just the act of doing it makes me eat more veggies.
Oh my gosh, me too. Me too.
So therefore I'm getting more nutrients.
Absolutely.
So, and also who doesn't want, you know, yourself or your children to be exposed to a bunch of chemicals that they use in mass production of vegetables. So many more nutrients. I also think that the food just tastes better when you grow it from your own garden.
I think so too. You know, they say that when you pick like a tomato or pull a carrot, you know, it's still alive.
Oh my God.
Is that wrong? Is that wrong? They say it's alive.
So you're saying when we pull a carrot, we're murdering the carrot?
Oh, yeah. Well, we are, though, aren't we?
Okay, all right. I'm with you. I just never thought about it that way.
Seriously.
So that's what those little screams always mean?
Yes, Christy, wake up.
Oh, okay.
But don't you see at the grocery store now, sometimes they'll put a head of cabbage with the roots, and they put it in a little bit of dirt, and they call it alive?
Yeah,
That's what that's about. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Or like when you have, they give you like the cherry tomatoes on the vine.
On the vine. But see, it's different when the roots go into the dirt, and they literally say living food. Have you not noticed that?
Oh, my God.
Living food.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Well, that makes total sense to me. And I also think that, it tastes better too because you can plant a variety that values taste over shelf life.
Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah.
Like, I think tomatoes are a great example.
Yeah.
Like, why do people love heirloom tomatoes? Because they are grown for their taste and not for their shelf life.
Yes.
Why do people love heirloom irises? Because, okay, you don't eat an iris.
No.
But
So where are you going with this?
But you can smell an iris. And
Oh, yeah.
heirloom iris have a wonderful scent. And many hybrids have the scent bred out of it for the sake of color.
In roses, too.
That's true, too. Right.
And also, I had a friend, first year gardening, he was so excited to eat his tomatoes. And he said to me, my tomatoes are tasteless. And we figured out it was because he used way too much Miracle Grow.
Oh, so they got too big.
They got gigantic and tasteless. So you don't want
Yes.
to do that either. I'm not a big fan of Miracle
Yeah.
Grow anyway. Don't ever use it. But if
They
you
have an
to-
organic version of Miracle Grow, just putting that out there, but it's more expensive.
Yeah,
But just
Good.
the regular blue stuff, right?
yeah. The blue stuff is
Yeah.
bad.
I think food from your own garden also tastes better because you can choose when you're going to harvest it for its ripeness, for its peak ripeness.
That's right.
If you can beat the squirrels to it,
That's right.
because they also know when it's peak ripeness.
Uh-huh. But there are plants that squirrels don't touch that do better with the cold.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
like
true.
it better.
Yeah.
And I don't think that agribusiness is going to wait around for that time to come.
Mm-hmm.
They want, to ship it out as quickly as possible.
And the home gardener, you care so much about your plants. You're
Yeah.
there every day taking care of it, as opposed to plants that, vegetables that come in the grocery store where the individual plant is not getting its attention that it really wants.
You should go and pet some vegetables.
Give them a little tug.
You give them a hug. That's so
Yeah.
tender-hearted of you.
The food I think that tastes the best, Edith, is not just the food that you took from your vegetable garden, but it's also, have you ever made a meal where everything came from your garden?
Yes, I have.
Like ratatouille?
Yeah.
Where you can say, these peppers,
Yep.
these
Spaghetti sauce.
yes,
Your own spaghetti sauce.
your own basil, your own
Yeah.
peppers, your own onions.
Yep.
There's nothing more satisfying than that.
I agree. Which takes us right to the next point, which is how much money you can save. Like if you make something like that with everything from your garden,
Mhm.
well, it's a big, and then you can go spend the money on booze or something really important.
Note to self. Do you remember there was that book that came out a couple years ago that was called The $64 Tomato. Do you remember that book?
No.
It's by this guy named William Alexander, and he discussed his quest for the perfect garden and how it ended up costing him about $64 per tomato.
Oh, that's funny.
because that's when you add in all the costs that go with it, right?
Uh-huh.
And they added up quickly for him, even a small vegetable garden. But I think I so disagree with this book because, gardening can be a very fancy and expensive hobby. It sure can be, right? You could
Yeah.
spend a lot of money on on tools, and paying people on your soil. And how you decorate it. You could spend a lot of money on your vegetable garden, but really, for millennia, gardening has been very cheap to do.
Yeah. Agreed.
The big thing I learned was when I first started gardening, was always buying plants to put in the garden. But I've learned a lot about just how easy it is to grow things from seed.
Oh, and so much cheaper.
And how much can you get out of one seed packet? $1.89 seed packet?
Mm-hmm.
I have some greens, some like kale and lettuce and arugula seeds that I've had for 3 years. Now, sure, the germination might be going down a little bit.
But
But
still.
that was $1.89 I spent on that for
Yeah.
all that salad.
Yeah.
It's so much cheap. I think sometimes we drastically underestimate the true value of our own home produce because our home produce is the value, I think, of a farmer's market. And how expensive is that stuff?
That's right. And, even though sometimes we know that just because something isn't looking perfect, that doesn't affect the taste
Right.
at all.
Yeah, right.
Whereas at the store, you're not going to see something like that. So I think that skews our mind. Well, this can't be any good. It doesn't look right, when that's just not true.
Another way I think gardening saves you money is that, did you know, Edith, that a house with a well-maintained garden sells quicker
No, I
than a
didn't.
house that doesn't,
Oh, wow.
and sells for more money? It's that classic curb appeal.
Right.
So by taking care of your little plot of earth with your flowers and your vegetables, your house will sell sooner and for more money, which is pretty cool.
That is very cool.
Even people who don't garden appreciate the value of it, you know? So,
Yeah.
and of course, we've always talked about how gardening helps our physical health.
With a couple of caveats.
Mm.
Do not go bareheaded in the hot sun all summer.
Right. I've done that.
Yeah, I've done that too. But I mean, just make sure on the days that you go out there when the sun is bursting out of the sky,
Right.
that you cover up a little bit and use plenty of sunscreen. I
That's such a good
actually
point.
prefer covering up a little rather than slathering all that sunscreen on.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, because then you also can protect your arms from like scratches and things like that. Well, sunlight lowers blood pressure, increases vitamin D, and spending time outdoors has shown to reduce your heart rate and your muscle tension. We're lucky in Colorado, we get so much sun.
Plus, there's really there's just nothing like looking over and there is a hummingbird like 5 inches away.
Right.
Or, you know,
Yeah.
or surprising things, seeing a dragonfly on the grapevine. These beautiful things that you see that you can only see if you go out and maintain a garden.
outside.
They come to your garden because there's seeds and nectar and all that kind of stuff there.
I read that people tend to breathe deeper when they're outside.
Oh, I bet that's true.
And so that clears out your lungs and improves your digestion and improves your immune response, increases oxygen levels in your blood. And then, you know, just all the many things we have to do physically, it's an exercise.
Yeah.
There's squatting, lunging, carrying heavy things, digging, raking.
All those things are better than just sitting all day.
And it improves your balance, improves your strength and your flexibility. I do a lot of lunging when I garden.
Do you lunge on purpose? You just start lunging?
Lunging and squatting. You know, and it's always so funny too, because it's a lot easier to get down. It's as the years go by, it's a little harder to get back up again, isn't it?
Oh my gosh,
But
yes.
it's good for you. Good for you. Okay. When we come back, we're going to talk more reasons why we should garden. But first, here's another pod play about seed catalogs.
The kids are off on a sleepover. Your spouse is working late. This means you have a nice winter's evening to yourself. What shall it be? Netflix? Or maybe a bubble bath with that new book about the one thing you have always wanted to read about? Who could that be? Why, it's the mailman. He hands you a stack of mail. A couple of circulars, returned Christmas cards, a few bills, and then... Wait, what's that on the bottom? Why, it's... a seed catalog. On the cover are huge pink blossoms bursting out of a rustic tin container. Your hand starts to tremble as you touch the slick cover. What is this amazing flower, you wonder? I must have it. Wait, let's not rush the moment. Pour yourself a glass of wine, light some candles, then settle in and slowly begin to thumb through. Tête Noire cabbage, a delicious small traditional French variety. Small, solid, deep red, and a reliable producer of firm heads. Apricot lemonade cosmos, The first Cosmos variety to combine sumptuous shades of buttery lemon, pink, and apricot. Japanese flowering kale. This delectable kale has dramatic ruffles, sublime flavor, and a depth of sweetness. Super frost hardy. You can wait no longer. You skim quickly until you find those huge pink blossoms. There she is, a stock flower. Japanese Sakura no Kagayaki, order number FL982. A fragrance so sweet and spicy, it is utterly intoxicating. Oh yeah. But then, your spouse comes home early. They brought home takeout and you watch that one show on Netflix everyone is talking about. It's nice. But still, you dream and yearn for your seed catalog.
The biggest reason why I garden, Edith,
Why?
is for my mental health and stress reduction.
That'll work every time.
It's like my therapist.
Yeah. You know, it makes you. Here's one thing about being in the garden. You leave your phone in the house, right? You don't look at the phone. You start to listen to the world around you that we usually just ignore. So it's all the sounds of which I just love that stuff. I also think that it opens up your imagination. So if you have kids, taking them outside and just being quiet. We're never still anymore. It's really hard to go anywhere where there's quiet. Everyone's got music playing. I just like the quiet sometimes.
That's nice. Do you know that they used gardening as a treatment for PTSD for troops returning home from World War I?
No, I did not.
They say that there's something about gardening that releases the same pain-relieving and calming brain chemicals that opioids do. That they call them nature's opioids, and there's an oxytocin that enters our bloodstream whenever we hug, or whenever your mother holds you, or when you're generally happy.
Yeah.
And that you get that through gardening.
No kidding.
Remember we talked about that there's also a bacteria in the soil?
In the soil. We did talk about that, and that's a real thing.
It is,
a good
yes.
bacteria.
Yeah, it's called Mycobacterium vaccae, and essentially it means that when you come into contact with soil, that this bacteria can be absorbed through your skin and stimulate the release of serotonin in your brain, acting like a natural mood booster.
That could explain why kids like to make mud pies.
Totally.
Doesn't it though, really? Because they don't, somehow kids, when you're little, you do things and you don't know why, but it's like we're almost programmed.
It's an instinct.
It's an instinct. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, an instinct.
And I like weeding. You like weeding too, right?
I do. I love weeding.
They say that weeding and other physical demanding garden tasks like that help the brain process intense emotions like anger, fear, frustration, stress.
Because you can yell at your weeds while you're pulling them out.
Yeah, you get all that stuff
Swear
out.
at them. It's true.
Yeah. I also read this, that gardening teaches lessons in resilience, persistence, and patience.
Patience, I see that. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
You have to be so patient.
Yeah.
Don't you? As a gardener, you have to wait years for something to happen sometimes.
Well, it takes away the idea that we are the center of the world because it's kind of like you versus nature, and nature's always going to win.
Right.
You want to go out and do something and have fun, but you know that a frost is coming, so you have to save your garden. That has to come first. And I think that's an important lesson to teach your kids, for example.
Sometimes I'm amazed how many people, when they learn I have a gardening podcast, or they know that, you and I like to garden so much, and they all say, I have such a brown thumb. I always kill things. And I always say, remember, if you're not killing things, you're doing something wrong in the garden, because things die.
Yeah, sure.
And you have to come to peace with that, don't you think?
I do. And I think that the people that say they have round thumbs, really another way to look at it, some of them, is that they don't have the patience. And they're not taking the time to learn. It's really not as easy as sticking a plant in the ground and walking away. They need care.
Yes.
Right? They
Persistence.
Really need, yes.
Patience, resilience. These are good life skills to have.
They're really
not just
good.
in the garden, but they're good outside the garden too.
They sure are.
Yeah.
What about social connection?
Uh-oh.
Are we on social connection?
Yes, we are.
I think that I belong to a couple of different Facebook groups for gardening, and they are the most generous people. You're always going to see things like, I have apples to give away, and then they, you go to their house and you get their apples. Free mulch all the time.
Free advice.
Good advice.
Good
too.
advice.
Yeah.
And commiseration.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Like, this happened to me. And, it's not necessarily even just like those type of formal groups, but sometimes even just casual situations. And I meet somebody and I'm sort of like, do you garden? Hi, do you garden? I like to garden. I like to garden. Do you garden?
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
And when you find somebody, it's a way of connectivity with someone.
Sometimes when I'm walking like up an alley and I see a beautiful garden and they're out there, it's so much fun to just strike up a conversation. And then you find out so many new things, because it's not that easy to meet neighbors anymore, And
I have two things to say about that. One is that if you are lonely, you are encouraged to also put as much attention to your front yard as your backyard.
Oh.
Don't forget your front yard, because that will help you get more social connectivity. You'll meet more of your neighbors. Though it's hard for me, because usually when I'm working in my front yard, which is flower beds, I am hot. I'm sweaty.
Yeah.
I look like just an absolute mess. And then the neighbor wants to come up and chat, which is awesome and great. But I always feel like, oh my God, my butt is hanging up in the air.
But everyone likes your butt hanging up in the air.
I can't deny that anymore.
There you
I'm
go.
going to have to just accept it.
It's nice too, because sometimes I'll be out front doing something, and everybody has dogs now, and everybody walks their dogs.
Nice.
And it's not just people that I've met, it's all kinds of people that are walking by. The ones that will stop and make a comment, there's just something about those people, or like, I have a garden too, or how do you do this and that? It's a really nice way to make an important connection, a connection that matters.
Some of them I don't even really know about, because I've gotten to the habit now when I have so much stuff that I just need to get rid of, that I just put it out in front of my mailbox with a box that says free. These are things that we have too much of, like lamb's ear or Jupiter's beard, or just kind of plants, or I've even put zucchini up there, Edith, and just say free. And I make a connection with somebody who takes it, and I don't know who they are, but it makes me feel good.
Absolutely. You can also take it down to the butcher shop that have that community.
Oh, that's right.
There's a community, what's it called? A community refrigerator.
Yes.
So, and in the summertime, I really enjoyed taking a lot of my stuff down there.
I even felt a connection even just this past Christmas, because I like to make gifts of things I made from the garden. Like I made tomato jam.
Oh, yeah. You taught me to love tomato jam.
And
oh my gosh.
People have said that they have enjoyed it. And that just creates a deep connection between the two of us. There's a loneliness epidemic in our country.
Yeah.
Gardening helps you.
And you know what else is cool about gardening? You don't have to ever talk about politics.
Right.
There are no politics in the garden.
That is such a good point.
And
can we just sometimes we just need a break from that, Edith.
I desperately need a break. And just to talk about things that we are growing and nurturing, rather than what we think about this and this. That will break down communities. So that's another reason to garden. Actually.
I love that. And I know very important to both of us is the environmental impact that we can have just on our own little plot of earth.
Do you know what I thought about the other day that I never really thought about before? It's not just that, we're growing things and putting off oxygen and all that. It's also that when you grow a garden, you are feeding insects and birds. And insects are absolutely vital. And we're losing our birds. So if we have to feed these things. We have to feed the bees, right? We have to, and we do these things with our gardens.
When people have said there haven't been any bees, I have never had that problem in my garden.
I haven't either.
Sometimes I zoom way out and I can just feel my whole garden, front yard, backyard, undulating with insects.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. It's just great.
Do you know that plants, well, you know this because you've told me this, Edith, plants, the roots help bind the soil,
Yeah.
which prevents erosion and maintains soil fertility.
Yeah.
And you do that. You don't pull your roots out. You let them stay
I
all
leave
winter
like
long.
all the corn stalks and stuff. So I've cut those corn stalks down, but I left the roots in the garden itself. Now we also know it's really pretty and everything, but you know, I have learned some of the coolest things about just from gardening. Okay, let's see so for some reason this summer my compost, which I have an enclosed bin, was full of larvae.
Yeah. Okay. I don't understand why we've never talked about this before, because I was turning the compost late in the summer, probably it was around July, and it was full of larvae, and Edith, it freaked me the heck out.
It did me at first too, and then I found out what it was. And
can we describe it? Let's describe them.
Let's describe them.
Because mine were about maybe 1.5 inches, white, and then inside it was kind of like moving inside.
What was moving?
I don't know. It was almost like it was a chrysalis or something. I don't know. But they were creepy larvae. I thought they were Japanese beetle.
No. Well, I don't think so. Don't they go into the soil?
Well, that's what I thought. But I thought maybe because my compost pile, is out exposed to.
That's right. Well, I saw a couple of black soldier flies. These are black flies that are so black that they have a blue sheen to them.
Okay.
And
and you're like looking at 1.5 inches. These are fly larvae?
These were no.
Okay.
This is the adult fly.
Okay.
Lays eggs. And that's where the larvae come from. And it's a really good thing to have.
It's a good fly?
It's a good fly. Listen to this.
Okay.
Seriously. It's not invasive. Once they reach adulthood, they don't eat, but they rely on the nutrients that they have gathered as larvae. So they are eating the stuff in your compost. And then when they poop it out, that's the frass. That's really good. Or if they die in there, they are full of protein.
So that's good.
It's really good.
I had so many in there, Edith.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, I was going to squish them because I thought they were Japanese beetle larvae.
People collect them, dry them. They're one of the best things you can feed chickens. They're full of protein.
Oh,
people are actually. I went into a little deeper dive on this. They're actually farming them. These true enough.
Because they have to be. If you live a stone's throw away from me. You live like 2 blocks away. So if you got these white larvae in your compost pile, and I did, I've never seen them before.
Me either.
Then it has to be the same thing.
I think it is the same thing, and it's a good thing. That's what's important to know. It's a good thing. They're not as creepy as maggots. Right?
True. And you have some good maggot stories.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I do.
Check out the back catalog, folks.
Anyway, and this is kind of interesting. The reason that these black soldier flies don't spread disease like flies do, well, first of all, they don't eat, so they don't regurgitate food, along with digestive juices, which is how flies spread germs. I did not know that either.
So they're a big fly or they're a little fly?
We're talking about the black soldier flies? Yeah. They are a nice 1.5 inches.
And do they look like a fly?
No, I don't think so. We're just comparing them to the bad things that flies, parasites,
gotcha.
mosquitoes do.
Okay.
So anyway, don't freak out, ladies and gentlemen, when you find these beautiful larvae in your compost.
Which is why we garden, so we can learn things.
That's right.
If a human being that doesn't learn things is not alive.
Well, they're alive in a really limp way. We can't say they're dead, but okay.
They're not living to their full potential. Right? About learning things. And this podcast has taught me so much.
Me too.
I'm learning. I think I am a much better steward of my little backyard.
The other thing I've learned from is people that write us letters.
Yes.
They teach us things too.
They do. So we should go up to that.
Yes, we should.
But first.
What?
Another pod play.
Right.
About Seed catalogs.
The ones that are not coming. Okay.
And that's when I hit bottom. I thought I could stop anytime I wanted to, but boy, was I wrong. That's why I'm here. So I'll just keep working my steps and keep coming to these meetings. Anyway, thanks for listening. Anybody else want to share? How about you?
Who, me?
Yeah, you back in the corner. You've been coming every week for a month. Would you like to share? You might feel better. No pressure.
Well, I don't know if I really belong here.
That's what I thought once, too. Why don't we start with your name and how long it's been?
Well, my name is Lauren, and I guess it's been about 3 days.
Hey, Lauren.
Hi.
When did it all start? It's okay. We're all friends here.
During the pandemic, I started listening to this very fun podcast called Upside Down Tulips and felt so inspired. I got to thinking maybe it would be nice to have a little container cherry tomato plant. I never knew how good it felt to get my fingers in the moist soil, and the joy I would feel as my little plant grew and grew. I even got a couple handfuls of tomatoes. I'd never tasted anything so wonderful in my life. So the next year, I got some raised beds and bought a couple of different kinds of tomatoes and some marigolds. I mentioned to a friend of mine that I was going to buy some basil plants when he said, "Why buy a basil plant when you can grow some by seed?" And he reached into his pocket and pulled out a packet of basil seeds. Seemed harmless enough. So I followed the directions on the seed packet and planted the basil seeds, and I gently misted them to keep the soil moist, like I learned on Upside Down Tulips. And one day, I came out to my garden, and I saw a little bright green row of basil coming up. It was amazing. Then I started full on buying and growing seeds. Cucumbers, beans, squash, and radishes, cosmos, zinnias, foxglove, and lavender. I even learned how to winter sow. I was on top of the world. Then one winter day, I went to pick up the mail, and there, under some returned Christmas cards and some bills, was a seed catalog. At first I thought, that is way too intense for me. I will buy seeds from my local nursery, but to buy from a catalog? No way. But when I saw those tantalizing pictures and luscious descriptions, I was mesmerized. As I paged through the seed catalog, summer once again seemed possible. I came across a Cherokee Purple heirloom tomato, 80 days, pre-1890 variety, beautiful, deep dusky purple pink color, superb sweet flavor, and very large sized fruit. I thought, what could go wrong? And I placed an order. From that moment on, it's all been a blur. I started ordering so many seeds, I needed to get a seed organizer. When I wasn't getting enough seed catalogs in the mail, I started seeking them out and ordering catalogs online. Burpee, Baker Creek heirloom seeds, botanical interests, Renee's. I am hiding my seeds from my family. I even bought seeds from outside my zone. What has happened to me?
Oh, there. You've just made the first germination to recovery, admitting you are powerless over seed catalogs.
You are right. I do feel better. What's next?
Keep coming to meetings, listen to Upside Down Tulips, and we'll just take it one seed at a time. One seed at a time. I'm looking at my watch.
Uh-oh. Christy, what time is it?
It's mailbag time.
Ring, ring.
I didn't think you were going to say it.
Well, I was thinking, what do I say here? Ring, ring.
Some people, that's all they live for. It's that
Is
ring
it?
ring.
Is it? Those people are dead inside,
Yeah.
aren't they?
Okay. We have a letter from our dear friend Lindsey from Denver, also a member of our garden party, also a sometimes co-host, also a fabulous actor and gardener in her own right.
Mm-hmm.
She writes, "Hey garden gang, I've got an update for you. This year my garden did squat. No, not squash, squat. I was out of town working on a project during prime planting season, and while my dear friends fought valiantly to keep some of my seedling in the ground, they were almost all completely wiped out by a hailstorm, and that was that.
Oh.
That sucks.
Oh, that does suck.
Hail is a vicious, vicious garden pest."
Yeah.
She goes on, "I decided not to put in too much more effort as we've begun looking for a new place to live. And indeed, we bought a house and moved this summer. So
Oh.
while the garden last summer was a disappointment to say the least, I have now gone far too long without tasting a real tomato, to our point from earlier.
Uh-huh.
I get to plant a whole new one almost from scratch. We have a big old lawn that we'll be replacing with water-wise plants and raised beds. And I'm so excited to get started. I'll try to send you some in-progress pictures as soon as there's anything to show. And I'm sure there will be mistakes aplenty to report. So now bring it on, spring.
Oh.
Best to you and all podcast listeners as you plan your gardens. XO Lindsey."
Oh, that's a cool letter.
Yes.
You know what it brings up? It's also, gardening is also a reason to get out of bed. Isn't it?
It totally is.
It's like you think, oh my God, today I get to do this and this.
And to have a whole new area to plan.
Yeah.
Lindsey, I've got some water-wise plants I'm happy to share with you. So catch me offline and let me know what you're looking for, okay?
Thank you, Lindsey.
And we want to know what's going on in your gardens. Do you have any updates? Do you have any profound questions or pithy comments? We'd love to hear from you. All you need to do is write to upsidedowntulips@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Edith got a little lost. So I was spitting for her.
So she just talked and talked, which she does
I just
so
said
beautifully.
I'm just not going to stop.
Beautiful. She looks at me and I'm like, I've got this face like, where are we going? There's a kitty. Hi. Okay. Here we are. It's 2025. And across from me, sitting right across from me, looking so, I don't know, inspirational, is Christy. Christy Montour Larson, you look like you have something that you have to say.
Well, I think because it is 2025 and we're getting close to Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, I searched for what I thought could be a lovely inspirational quote from Martin Luther King Jr. However, as I was doing more research, some people also attribute this quote to Martin Luther.
Oh.
So I'm not entirely sure, or some people say it's neither. So I don't know who it's really from, but we're going to pretend it's from Martin Luther King Jr. And he says, "Even if I knew that tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree."
Oh, that's so nice.
Who knows what this year is going to be like?
Yeah, let's start planting apple trees.
That's right. That's right. 2025, what you got in store for us? I don't know. But I hope there's apple pie at the end of it. Okay, guess what, Edith? Now we're at this point where we do general thanks for listening.
General, thanks for listening,
General,
everybody.
thanks for listening.
Thanks for hanging with us through all of these years since the pandemic.
Isn't that nice?
It's really nice. We love you.
We are Edith Weiss and Christy Montour Larson.
Thanks to our garden party.
We wouldn't be here without you.
Well, we would, but we'd be bitter. Thank you so much to Denise Gentilini for composing and performing the Upside Down Tulips theme song.
If you want more, go to denisegentilini.com or you can find that link at upsidedowntulips.com.
And a special thanks to the many talents of Abner Genesee. Join us in the spring, won't you, for a new episode about starting your 2025 garden that will delight, amaze, and just give you some fun things to think about.
And don't forget, Edith,
What?
if you make a mistake,
Your garden will forgive you.
Upside down tulips.
Broncos.
Okay.
Go Vikings.